Hey, this is Dr. Garcia at MedHealth Clinical. We just had a great turnout at my DocTalk discussing autophagy. Autophagy is basically your body's ability to put itself into the ultimate healing mode. It's definitely something that you want to practice. Check out this video for all the details.
Okay. I give these talks and I usually just jump right into them, but this particular talk I always get a little, there's a flair of a dramatic sense with this because it's such an important and it's just a special topic. When I think about this topic of autophagy, which is what we're going to be discussing today, I'm always, this metaphor comes to mind of a person that's very poor, right? A very poor person, and they're living in their one-bedroom home in the winter time in Illinois somewhere in the middle of winter, right? And they're just poor. They can't turn the heat on in the house. They're seeing their breath in the house. They're sitting there, they're eating their, their baked beans out of a can. They couldn't even warm it up, right? But what this person doesn't know is that the home that they own is built on a foundation of solid gold blocks. So all they had to do is just pull up the floorboards of their home and they have an endless supply of resources right there. Okay, so the metaphor obviously is for your health condition, and no matter how destitute you think your particular condition is, God made you and He gave you these tools to fix whatever problem, generally speaking, you have, and you just have to know how to engender that and how to activate it, right? And so that's what we're here to do today, is just to talk about this. You guys will never hear me give a talk to a group of people without this slide first. The slide says, the first duties of the physician is to educate the masses to not take medicine. William Osler. Who's he? I think I recognize most of the faces in the room, but some people are hearing this for the first time. So I lovingly and affectionately refer to William Osler as the Wayne Gretzky of doctors. And that's because if you're like me, you have no idea anything about hockey, right? I don't know the cities that they play in. I don't know the rules. I don't know any of the players. I know they let you fight. But if you show me a picture of Wayne Gretzky, I'll be able to say, okay, that's Wayne Gretzky, right? So that's who this is of doctors. If you Google him, he's widely regarded as the father of modern medicine. He started the medical program at Johns Hopkins University, which is a very prestigious medical school. And he also started the residency program in the United States, meaning before him, you were a medical student and then you just were a doctor, right? Which should be terrifying to everyone in this room because medical students don't know how to do anything other than, bubble in the correct answer on the Scantron sheet and panic like the rest of you know how to do. That's what they can do. But that's basically a lot of words to say he's a boss. But unfortunately, as it is, he died in 1915 before the current climate that we see. So before the diabetes epidemic that we face, before the obesity epidemic that we face. So if he were here, I don't think, he was advocating that we just haphazardly remove someone's medications from their medication list. What he was trying to tell us is, teach people, doctors, how to live so that they don't need so much medicine, right? And so that's what I'm trying to do. And this is my medical license. So I the poetry behind that is I stake my career on this thought, and this is my, in my old office behind me. I used to keep this with my license on it. That little gesture that I'm doing, depending on what talk you're here to listen to, that has different meanings. For today, this represents my message that I'm trying to give to you. When I was coming up with these talks and these ideas, I was thinking, okay, I have to be able to pass this to people in an understandable way. I wanted to make a metaphor for this. So the metaphor is the green grape. It's the simplest of all the fruits, right? You just get to, you just put it in your mouth and you go. You don't have to cut it. You don't got to cook it. You don't got to peel it, right? It's not like the banana where you got to know about like that little gross thing at the bottom and you got to be able to take that out. It's simple, right? So my idea here is we're going to be here for 25 minutes. I'm going to pass you this idea and you're going to be able to walk out the door and own it. You're going to understand it and you're going to be able to manipulate your behaviors to be able to take advantage of what we're talking about here. So this is my checkpoint clinic. Antoine likes to call it the DocTalk. I've been doing this. This is the 38th consecutive month that I've been doing this, and I'll be doing this the second Saturday of every month. You can set your clock to it with one exception. Antoine, I haven't told you about this. Next month I'll be in California at a wedding, so this is not going to be happening next month, FYI. But in the 38 months that I've done this, there's only been 2 times that I haven't been able to do it. So generally speaking, the second Saturday of the month, I'm going to be here giving a talk on a health topic. And the reason I do this is because I go to a lot of doctors' lounges. I'm behind the scenes. I have a lot of private conversations with doctors, nurse practitioners, and I can tell you that the tone about you all, they don't believe in you. You know, the tone behind the scenes is, you know, oh, if these guys would just take my advice, you know, they would already be healthy. None of them listen, you know, none of them take their medicine. They can't be taught, they can't get better. That's kind of the tone behind the scenes of how the medical profession thinks about you all. But I can tell you that in my 8 years of doing this, I've done it with enough people to know that if you have a message and you hit somebody in the chest with information and you make it important to that person and you let them know, hey, by doing this, you're going to improve your clinical picture, patients will bend over backwards to do what you're asking them to do. So patients people who know better do better, and that's 100% true. And so I'm just here to try to let you guys know about a few things so that you can modify your behaviors behind the scenes at home. 8 o'clock. My man Hugo came in, he saw me at the table and he said, wow, what are we doing here at 8 o'clock, man? There is a reason for that. I don't have any magic. Like, I can't sprinkle magic on you to make you better. I need you guys to work a little bit. I need you to put a little bit of effort into what we're doing here, right? So it's about the amount of effort that it took you to set your alarm clock, get dressed, brush your teeth, get in the car and get here and sit down, right? So by virtue of the fact that you're listening to my voice, you have what it takes to make the changes in your life, but you have to change some things, okay? That's the reason for 8 o'clock. There's one rule and there's one lesson, and all the talks that I give is simple. One rule, one lesson. The rule you get up front. The rule is, please leave what you think you know at the door when you walk in, because we're going to talk about some things that you've never heard about before. So be willing to accept new information. All right, this is the situation, okay? You come downstairs on Saturday morning. You know you've been sloppy at the house. You know you haven't been picking up after yourself, you know, but you come down and this is what you see. So you know it's time to clean this thing up, right? You're going to get to it, right? And then you get a call. And it's your mom. And she tells you that she's heading over to visit you. She's coming from Texas. She's going to be here on Monday. You got 2 days. So now it's time to get busy, right? You got to get this mess cleaned up. So I ask you guys, does anyone in this room think that the best first move to make is to run out to the antique store and get a feather duster and start dusting off the tops of the fan blades? No, we got to get we got to bring the garbage can in the house, right? We got to start putting stuff in the garbage can and get done, right? But I see a lot of Americans breaking out their feather dusters. You know, we live in this information age where you get on Instagram and it's telling you about, you know, Dr. Gundry's talking about don't eat the skins on the almonds. The skins on the almonds are going to be, you know, hazardous to your gut, right? Or you're on Instagram and they're telling you need selenium, right? There's a million different things that you hear about, right? So what do you focus on? So that's kind of what I'm here to talk to you guys about. This represents the entirety of medicine, okay? This represents vitamin B12, fish oil, COPD, sleep, heart disease, right? CoQ10, all the different possibilities that there are in medicine, right? But the point of health information is what? To get healthy, right? So I'll ask you, sir, because you're in the front. If I show you this picture, the point of a clock is to tell the time. What time is it in this picture?
All different.
Indeterminable. You can't use it. It's too much information, right? So what I'm trying to do with these talks is I'm trying to narrow stuff down. So what if I did this for you? 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 2 o'clock, right? This is what I'm trying to do for my patients. We need to get usable information to start making some forward progress on cleaning up this house. Okay, so the first one, hyperinsulinemia. I gave this talk 2 months ago. Hyperinsulinemia is etiology of diabetes, obesity. It's very important in terms of hypertension and dyslipidemia, right? Have you guys all, that's internal medicine right there. That's bread and butter. Those aren't 4 problems. Those are 1 problem. If you address the hyperinsulinemia, those problems go away, right? Very important to understand. The one I did last month, that's chronic inflammation. That's the etiology of depression, anxiety, rheumatoid arthritis, heart disease, Crohn's disease, lots of forms of cancer. The list goes on and on. Basically everything, okay? Inflammation is the cause of everything. And then today what we're going to talk about is autophagy. Now, autophagy is, I need a little disclaimer here, all right? So the fact that people don't know what autophagy is makes me insane. This is like not knowing what oxygen is, okay? This is a big deal. But the problem with this is that it is a semester-long, graduate-level course, okay? So the metaphor that I like to use is, I want you guys to picture a silverback gorilla. Now picture the flea on his fur. That is the minutia. That is the detail with which this topic has been written about and described, right? The flea on the silverback gorilla. Now, we're not going to talk about that. We got 25 minutes. So zoom away from the flea and you see there's a gorilla, right? We're not going to talk about that detail either. See the gorilla? Zoom away from the gorilla. See the rainforest? We're not going to talk about that either. Now you see the rainforest? And you zoom back, see that's South America? We're not talking about that either. We're going to go out to, you're going to have a satellite's eye view. You're going to be aware that this phenomena exists, right? Because this gets as complicated as you can possibly imagine. Now, but once we get intentional about these 3 things, we'll clean up the kitchen and, you know, your mom can come visit you and not think you're in bad shape. All right, so I want to start with this quote. The reason, and hopefully this lands right in your lap and it's not controversial to you and it doesn't seem offensive to you, right? The reason we all have disease is because we're giving it to ourselves through our foods, drinks, lack of exercise, processed foods, chemicals, and pollution. Does that make sense, right? Okay, so this was said by Serena Baker in her book Autophagy, and I just want to show you guys something real quick. When I started to realize that I needed to make a talk on autophagy, this is the way I do things. I just read everything I can get my hands on about it, right? So I bought the most expensive book I could find, $150. And let me tell you something, I've probably read 50 pages of it. This is the hardest, most complex, unbelievably just technical book you can possibly find, right? Serena Baker, this is the one, so I got another one. You read this in a weekend. It's beautiful. She took this and all the pertinent information that we need as people that are going to use this, she put it right here. I highly recommend everybody take a picture of this, grab it, look at it. It's awesome, okay? So this is Serena Baker, Autophagy, this book. But there's a way back, and that's what we're here to talk about right now. So, like I said, I'm trying to pass one idea on to you guys, right? So for this particular talk, we're going to start at a specific example, and then I'm going to, I don't know if extrapolate's the word, or generalize to other organ systems, okay? So, heart disease, right? #1 killer of Americans. So we need to be thinking about this. So previous generations of doctors and patients believed that LDL, low density lipoprotein, would kind of passively go through the bloodstream and deposit itself on the intima of the blood vessel and begin to form a plaque. This is not the way it works, right? Current paradigm is low density lipoprotein, bad cholesterol, right? This is what we're all looking at on our cholesterol panel. Low density lipoprotein interacts with inflammation that's in our blood, changes the molecule, which forces your immune system to, it makes them immunogenic. It activates your immune system. So it makes your immune system pull those cholesterol molecules out of the blood and into the cell, okay? This develops a plaque. Now this starts at like age 10. When young kids, if you do a biopsy on a young person, 10 years old, you're going to begin to see these, they're called fatty streaks, foamy macrophages. These are happening. So little by little, over time, this continues to happen until a point in time comes where the plaque breaks. Boom. It exposes, I think it's called tissue factor 12 to your blood. This is going to go up on the internet. So these medical students, if it's not tissue factor 12, whatever it is, and it's I've forgotten the minutia of the coagulation cascade, but it's going to start a clot, and this is a heart attack. Okay. This is what happens when you get a heart attack. P.S. When that exact same pathophysiologic process happens in the brain, this is a stroke. It's basically just the buildup of plaque formation. It bursts, forms a clot, goes downstream, and kills tissue, okay? Okay, but my point is, your body knows how to fix this, okay? Your body knows how to go in here. So your body knows how to find these oxidized lipoproteins. Okay, so let me pause here. When LDL hits inflammation, it turns it into an oxidized protein, okay? Your body knows how to clean up oxidized proteins and eliminate this, okay? Let me show you how it does it. Through autophagy. All right, so this is a cell, okay? Medical students spend entire semesters learning the function of each one of these little, they're called organelles, right? For our intents and purposes, I just want to point out three things. This blank space in here, this is the cytoplasm, the cytosol. These are the mitochondria. These are responsible for your body's ability to make energy and to burn fuel, right? So to be efficient. And then the lysosome. The lysosome is like your body's, think of it as like your body's stomach. It is your body's digestive mechanism. If anything needs to be eliminated, digested, broken down, it's the job of the lysosome. It has enzymes inside of it that'll, hit whatever it's trying to break down and break it down, okay? So, remember I was just telling you cytosolic proteins? Remember I was just telling you oxidized lipoproteins? Okay, so this process, you can take a protein, you can engulf it, right? Your body engulfs a protein that it doesn't need or want anymore into a phagophore. This is just kind of like a sac. The sac meets with the lysosome. This is that thing I was telling you about that's like the digestive enzymes of the stomach. They fuse together and they break down whatever it was, right? So they break down the protein, they break down the organelles, right? So look, organelle, otherwise this is a mitochondria. This is an old mitochondria that's not working well. It's not creating fuel efficiently. So what can your body do? Your body tags it, says, you're not working right. Let me take you, bring the lysosome, we break it down. Now any usable pieces of that old organelle, it can kick back into the system and make new organelles. So it knows how to refresh, regenerate, right? But not only cytosolic proteins and organelles, organisms, right? So for example, like what? COVID. When the pandemic hit, I was working in this building in the emergency department. And I could tell you right now, on camera, nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what to do. But the one thing that was, you could read about and find that was effective is trying to engender autophagy in these people. People that adhered to a diet that engendered autophagy had less mortality. I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, right? Intermittent fasting engenders autophagy. But trying to get a sick person to not eat, it wasn't easy. I would suggest it. I would say, hey, this would be helpful for you, but that would mean I don't order you a diet. And they didn't like that very much. But so this engenders yes, sir?
I've read some articles, scientific articles now that say intermittent fasting is good for people with cancer.
Oh, we're going there. We're going there. And it's all through engendering this phenomenon of autophagy. In fact, that's the very next thing that we're about to talk about. So when you engulf an organism, that's called xenophagia, right? So you engulf the organism and this whole process occurs and you destroy the organism, okay? Also, as to what he was saying, Mr. Curry, sorry. Cancerous growths, right? So through this mechanism, your body can do the same thing, engulf things that shouldn't be there, i.e. cancer cells, and we're going to talk in more detail about this later on, and to be able to break those down and eliminate them, okay? So this is what we're here to talk about. This is autophagy, okay? So we can take, I just want to hammer this point home. What we're talking about is heart disease. The plaques that are built up in heart disease, your body knows how to take the proteins that are messing you up, break them down, get rid of the ones that you don't need, and take the good stuff and recycle it back into your system, rejuvenating your cells. By the way, this should come as a surprise to no one. You are all just a collection of cells. So this is basically renewing you. Okay, so in summary, autophagy is a biological maneuver to refresh and renew the cell by eliminating waste or recycling it for more efficient use and performance. Dysfunctional autophagy is considered one of the main reasons for the accumulation of damaged cells and aging. Okay, I hope you guys are kind of starting to get a sense of the importance of what this is. All right, so now that was my specific example for heart disease, right? Now we're going to pull back because that's just your cardiovascular system. Now you have a muscular system, you have a GI system, you have your skin, this is happening at every level of your body. So what else is autophagy good for? Okay, muscle. You guys only have 3 types of muscle in your body, period. There's heart muscle, which we just talked about, but it should go without saying why keeping your heart muscle in top working order is important, right? Obviously would be. You want to keep that pump providing this life liquid to the rest of your body, right? Skeletal muscle. So anytime your skeletal muscle becomes damaged or gets used or gets injured, autophagy is the mechanism by which it repairs itself, right? And smooth muscle, this is my favorite part, right? For my intents and purposes. Smooth muscle is the muscle that lines your blood vessels, right? So that is what dictates your blood pressure, right? So if you have smooth muscle that's not working appropriately, now I'm dealing with hypertension. Now we're pulling out medicines, we're trying to get that fixed, right? So if you can really be intentional about fixing the smooth muscle of your body, then we're talking about improving blood pressure. Also, smooth muscle is also what lines your GI tract. So folks that get constipated and these kinds of things, this is an avenue to be able to attack that problem. Adipose, this is fat. Adipose is fat. And so I don't know if you remember back, I was showing this thing, I was saying this is important, this is your mitochondria, this is your energy, this is your they call it the power plant of your cell, right? When you get those working appropriately, adipose tissue is fat that's going to be used for energy for later. So you can more efficiently use the adipose tissue that you have. What's that mean? That means losing weight, right? This is your body losing weight, burning fat. Mitochondrial restoration helps your body burn fat. Okay, GI tract. Anyone ever heard of fatty liver? It's super common. I mean, I guarantee you, I've talked about it with more than 5 people in this room. Your body knows how to fix that. It fixes that via autophagy. The stomach. I can't tell you how many patients that have reflux, right? My patients don't have, if you have reflux and you're my patient, it's because you want to have reflux, because you can get rid of this. The intestine, I just mentioned to you, the intestines are lined with smooth muscle, right? So if you're talking to me about I'm constipated, or even things like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, these are inflammatory conditions, right? Autophagy attenuates inflammation, meaning it tones it down. Skin. Okay, so all the toxins that we're exposed to on a daily basis, UV rays, those cigarette smokers. Look at a person that smokes skin. Does it look different? I'm not saying anything. Looks different because they're constantly exposing themselves to these toxins, right? So your body has a mechanism to stop that, or to repair it, excuse me. I debated whether or not I wanted to say this, but I'm 43. I've been doing this for, I've been doing this for 5 years. And, when I tell my patients I'm 43, they're what, 43? And I believe it's because I've been practicing this intentionally for the last 5 years. Immune system. So I put a plus and a minus, right? So the minus, because a lot of disease that we have today is because of inflammation being revved up, right? So this can attenuate that kind of inflammation. Also, during the COVID pandemic, the big problem was this inflammatory cascade that was going out of control. This tones down the immune system in that sense, but then it turns it up in terms of the ability for it to recognize foreign intruders, encapsulate them, and eliminate them, right? So this is your immune system. This is how autophagy affects the immune system. Cancerous cells, again, knockout mice. Now, I'm going to give you so knockout mice, I don't know how they do this, but scientists know how to remove genes from mice. Don't know how they know how to do this. But they removed the ATG7, that's autophagy 7 gene. They took this gene out of the mice, and by doing that, what they found in the mice was cancer. So this autophagy mechanism is instrumental in getting rid of cancerous growths before they're able to take hold and affect us. Neural tissue, this is one of my favorite things. Okay, I just saw a patient yesterday, or the day before, this week, with Parkinson's, right? So the problem with Parkinson's disease is you have this protein called synuclein that begins to accumulate in your nerve tissue. Synuclein is removed from your body via autophagy, okay? Amyloid, this is what's accumulated in Alzheimer's dementia. And it is eliminated via autophagy also. Minimizing cell death. So this is how smart your body is. When your body sees that your cells are looking ragged, right? They haven't been, so like you don't ever fast, you've never tried to get into ketosis, you've never exercised, then your cells start looking ragged and they don't work very well, right? Your body says, that's not working well, kill it, get rid of it. And this is aging, right? That's called apoptosis, programmed cell death. Get rid of it. And now when you got a dead cell there, what that does on the back end is stimulates inflammation, and now it's like a vicious cycle. Now it's just getting worse and worse, quicker and quicker and quicker, right? So by keeping everything refreshed, by keeping a fresh mitochondria, and I'm just talking about the mitochondria, but every one of those little cartoon pieces inside the cell, it's happening on all of them. So by keeping all the cells looking fresh and vital, your body, less apoptosis, less cell death, less cell killing, right? And you get to stay younger longer. Improves cognition, so neuroplasticity, this idea of neuroplasticity, you've probably heard it, in passing. It's basically how your neurons relate to one another. It's how your ability to think and learn, right? So it improves cognition. So that's what else autophagy is good for. Again, hopefully you're starting to get a sense for how important this is at every level. Antoine mentioned this before, but I'll make these slides. You guys can have access to these slides. It's just I don't know if they'll make sense if I'm not explaining them. All right, so how do I do it, right? Okay, Garcia, you got me. I'm interested. How do I do it? So the thing I need to introduce is this idea of flux, autophagic flux. And the point that what this means is that your body's always doing it. It's always happening to some degree or another, to a negligible degree, right? So you got that pile of crap that you got to pick up in the house, right? If you don't fast, if you're not working on ketosis, if you're not exercising, that's like having the guy in your house that's helping you. Mom's coming on Monday. Remember, he's like this. And then the garbage can's like back there, right? And that's how he's helping you, right? That's a negligible, right? So it's a continuum, right? So that's a negligible amount of flux. And it goes up to, you got the whole construction crew in the house and everyone's moving coordinated and getting stuff picked up. So that's the idea. Now we want to obviously be over here. So how do you do that? Okay, these two principles, okay, so insulin turns it off and nutrients turns it off. But if you've sat in clinic with me and you've paid attention, you'll know that's the same thing, right? So as soon as you show your body nutrients, your body wants those, right? And how does it get them? Kicks out insulin. Kicks out insulin, and that tells your body to store all the nutrients, right? So this is really one thing. Lacking nutrients and lacking insulin. That puts you on this end. This is why I'm always talking to people about strategic eating patterns. This is why I'm always talking about intermittent fasting, right? I sell to you guys weight loss because that's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to lose some weight. But I know that behind the scenes, if I can get you to develop this eating pattern, I know that this is happening. You're up here, right? All right, so what else? All right, so ketosis. We hear this word all the time, right? I'm doing keto. Keto. What is that? It sounds like it's a big pain in the butt, right? You got to do math. You got to subtract net carbs. Ketosis is basically your body's ability to not burn carbohydrates and to provide itself fuel through fat. and you want to kind of be on the cusp. You want to be able to quickly transition between using carbs, but if you don't have carbs available, boom, you use fat. And so you do this by eliminating certain types of food. If any of you have sat in clinic with me, I say the same thing to everyone. Pasta, bread, foods out of a box and a bag. To simplify it, right? That's what you got to get out. And then if you need like a further simplification, generally speaking, when you're in the grocery store, the stuff in the middle, it's out. You don't want that. Stuff around the outside, that's where you got your vegetables, you know, you got your meats typically. That's what you want to be eating. Get into ketosis. Ketosis engenders. Ketosis helps you move up this continuum this way. Okay, so let's say we're around 100%. We're at about this level, right? Now, timed eating. You can't read a book right now. This book right here, this is the one I just finished. I finished it the other day. Mr. Curry and I, we have like a little book club. This book came out, I think, in 2020. You can't read a book right now without them talking about timed eating. It's in every single book. It is the meat and potatoes of what we're doing, okay? What does that mean? 16-8. Does everyone know what a 16-8 is? Hands up if you don't know what a 16-8 is. You don't know what a 16-8 is. Okay. All right. I'm going to run through it real quick. Okay. Let's do this. You're going to get my spiel. I say this 15 times every single day. You guys all know where we're going, right? You guys know what I'm about to do. Okay. My patients all know this. I'm going to do it real quick. And you do know what it is. No. The man next to you who had his arm up. Because to turn. I can do it like this. There's no problem. Because I don't know if it won't kick up, if it won't turn on again. All right. Okay. So this represents 24 hours in a day, okay? I'm gonna do mine. My dinner is at 8 o'clock, okay? The only thing you have to understand to know what this is about is it doesn't matter what you eat particularly. If you eat eggs or if you have Skittles, your body does the same with all of it. Your body just digests it down to usable nutrients, okay? When your body sees usable nutrients, your body's a machine of storing them. It always wants to store nutrients. The way you do this is with a hormone called insulin. Your body kicks out insulin, and that tells your body, store all of this, right? You eat again, you see more nutrients, you kick out more insulin, store all of this. But what's happening is we're constantly showing ourselves insulin. And remember, what turns this on is lacking insulin, right? So basically, a 16-8 is just an eating pattern that reduces your exposure to insulin, and on the back end, turns on autophagy. And then a pleasant side effect of this is that you will lose weight, okay? So after your dinner meal, so this is my dinner meal. There's only 3 things you can put in your mouth that don't stimulate insulin. They're not a lot of fun. Water, black coffee, no cream, no sugar, because even the cream and the sugar stimulates insulin, or green tea. No cream, no sugar, okay? Now, I go to bed at about 10 o'clock. So what I tell my patients is, and you obviously fit this to your life, but what I tell my patients is after dinner and before bed, every red-blooded American is having coffee, popcorn, cereal, nuts, whatever, right? Something. We all have something. I ask my people to just stop that. You just ate dinner. You're not hungry. Just stop. Get a grip. Have some water, right? And then eat some sleep. Now, while you're asleep, you're not eating, so you're not seeing any insulin. Okay? So then it brings you to There's a doctor named Dr. Oshumi. He won a Nobel Prize in medicine in 2016. I don't usually point this out while I'm saying this, but he won his Nobel Prize for elucidating what happens in autophagy, right? I always leave that part out just so that people don't have to think too much about anything. But from his work, what we realize is that you hit 12 hours and you get a hormonal change. You haven't seen insulin all this time. So for me, 8 o'clock in the morning, your hormones change and you begin to see elevations in growth hormone. Growth hormone is the opposite. So growth hormone says, utilize what you have stored, okay? Basically, instead of storing and building, we're going to start breaking down and using. That's called catabolic. It's anabolic, catabolic. We need this growth hormone to stay out for an additional 4 hours every day. So this makes your first caloric intake on this schedule be noon, conveniently when my practice shuts down for lunch. By doing this, you get this slice of the pie. So in 2020, January, the New England Journal of Medicine did their first article on this, right? I jokingly say that I almost broke my arm patting myself on the back because I had been talking about this since like 2017, right? So I beat the New England Journal of Medicine to this. But what happens here is that growth hormone is 2,000% elevated, okay? This is turning on autophagy. The idea behind the 16-8 is you get all your eating done in this 8-hour period of time. This is your 8 hours to eat. We're humans, we need to eat, we need to be exposed to insulin, but it should also make sense that we need to stop, right? And we need to balance ourselves out with this 16 hours of just water, black coffee, green tea, but for our intents and purposes, it's insulin. You're not seeing any insulin for this period of time. That's what a 16-8 is. Good. And that's not the only way to do a fast. You can also do it. I mean, you can do a 5-2. There's a million ways to do this. You can do 5 days. You eat whatever you want. 2 days, you don't eat anything. It's kind of heavy. It's a little hard, but that's another way to do it. There's a book called The Complete Guide to Fasting by Jason Fung. Highly, highly recommend you look at it. It is a book for lay people, and it explains everything you need to know about fasting. And it's kind of fun to read. It's exciting because it kind of shows you how powerful this mechanism is. Okay, we're almost done. Here it is. Come see me to get you on track for this. Every single person in this room that's my patient has had this discussed with them. They know. So this increases autophagy by 2,000%. Exercise, right? I've kind of, in my practice over the last 8 years, trying to get a patient to put on sneakers and go for a run or a walk. That's like asking them to like fly to the moon. So I've given up on it, right? But I'm telling you that, or this is what I hear all the time when I tell them about exercise. They say, "Oh, doc, I've exercised a lot. I get my 10,000 steps. I walk my dog." That's not it. Okay, so like meandering, right, while they stop and sniff a bush, and no. I need you to throw some sneakers on and like walk with a purpose, right, and make a little ring of sweat. That kind of exercise will engender autophagy, and they say it's, so we're moving up the continuum, right? So we got here with ketosis, we jumped way up here with intermittent fasting. Now we're just trying to get that way. So now a couple of molecules. Now this was, of the pages that I read of this book, which wasn't a whole lot, simvastatin, right? Of these statin medications, if any of you in this room have been put on a statin by me, you were only put on simvastatin because I know this. Simvastatin also engenders autophagy. So I figure at least if I'm going to have you on a tablet, I'm going to have you on one that's going to serve double duty and it's going to engender this phenomena. And then I like to include this just because I have to. There was a lady that used to come to these talks, and after the talk she would always come and tell me, "Dr. Garcia, what you need to give your patients is Protandim. That's the pill they need to take. That's the medicine they need." And I used to say, "Well, but ma'am, my entire practice is built on the fact that we're not taking medicine. So how am I going to sell a pill to my patients? Can't do it, sorry." But then I was reading this encyclopedia, and believe it or not, it started talking about NRF2. And I said, where have I heard of NRF2 before? And sure enough, I checked the pamphlet that lady was giving me, and her Protandim does engender autophagy. So let it be known. So guys, that's my talk on autophagy.